man. This is lifestyles of the poor and unfucking fortunate. But I tell you what, but bitch, we got views.
What's going on, everybody? ChadArmesTV.
Can't see.
I can't see anyway. ChadArmesTV, and we are here with Savannah Dexter.
Hey, y'all.
So we are going to sit down with her and talk to her, kind of like we do our other interviews. We'll talk about, childhood, and then how she got into music. We got a smoke machine and everything in here going.
He's literally staring at you, and he's gonna yell at you.
Sure you won't.
Okay.
It's all good. But we'll just start off like that. What do you want to start on, as a kid? What kind of music were you listening to as a kid that influenced you, I guess, to want to do music?
Sure. So this will kind of explain how I have my hip hop side, rap side versus the country side. My mom and dad were super young when they had me. They were 17 and 19. So this was early 90s. So I got everything from my Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, all my countryside from my father. I just remember riding around in his truck listening to that stuff. And then for my mom, it was Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Nelly, Usher. Right. So that's kind of how I get both sides as far as the music. So I really grew up in what I say is the good music.
Oh, for sure.
The good
that time frame,
the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So my huge music influences would definitely be Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, and then Christina Aguilera. I love her, man. Carrie Underwood. She came later on, but I grew up watching every single episode of American Idol. So I was I'm going to be on that show one day.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out quite like that. So that's what I call the good era of music. And then actually later on, through my marriage and stuff, which I'm sure we'll touch on, that's when I got into the old country, the Waylon, the Willies, the Johnnies. I'm a country girl at heart. I think I definitely veer more towards that. But with all the trauma and stuff with my dad, I kind of literally quit listening to it because everything would just bring me to tears. And then I just went to the more hip hop rap side.
Because you didn't want to go down that road, yeah.
Yeah, and it was more my aggressive, pain.
Right.
Is
that something you want to talk about?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Well,
you want to kind of talk about that, yeah?
So, like I said, my parents were young when they had me, right? 17 and 19. They were never married. I want to say for the first year or two they were together, and then they split up. My mom was kind of in and out of my life. We always lived together because I lived with my grandparents. I always say they're the ones who raised me. She was there, but she was juggling school and work at night. And, she really wanted to find Mr. Right because she wanted that family. My dad immediately jumped into a relationship with who's now my stepmother. And he picked up the family life, right? She got pregnant right away. So I have two sisters from that side. And it was kind of no more Savannah. When it came to him, I think he tried to fight for me. He wanted custody, but I feel it was more a stubborn thing that he just wanted to say that he had me, But he had already started a new life. And I feel he kind of favored that life.
Right.
My stepmom was actually my pre-K teacher, so that's how they met.
Right.
And she was nice at first, but I vividly remember, I'd be 3, 4, 5, hold my dad's hand, and she would come and split us apart. It was always really weird. I'm still not sure to this day why she did that. I don't know if she was jealous because I was from my mom. I really don't understand that. But she was never cool with him and I having a relationship. And then that just progressively got way worse as far as how she treated me, how she treated my dad, and then how that whole situation worked when I went to live with them.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to, we were in Missouri for a few years. I was born in Florida. We moved to Missouri for a few years, and then we came back here, right? Well, Florida.
Right.
And I was with my mom, and she came to me one day in the middle of I think I was in 5th grade. Yep. So I was 10. She's like, hey, do you want to go live with your dad? And I was like, yeah, I've kind of always wanted to see like what that would be like, you know. I've always lived with mom. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna send you there for a little bit, but you'll come back. That was the end goal.
Right.
It was not great at all.
Right.
Their relationship, I will say, I've said it to him, I don't approve that. It's not healthy. I don't think that they should be together, but that's whatever. When I moved there were days in the beginning that were good, where she would like be decent to me, you know, let me have the childhood, let me be a kid, but it got pretty ugly pretty quickly. I remember this one day, and like I was in 5th grade, so I had just got there pretty much, and I wanted help on my homework. I was like, hey, will you help me? And she's like, you can figure it out yourself, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Dismissing you.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, like, so I'm like tapping my pencil. I'm like really frustrated because like I could not figure this out. And she like comes, I was like, I really need your help. Like, will you please come over? So she comes over and she's like, stop tapping your pencil. And she like slaps the pencil and like throws it across the room. Like just immediately, super aggressive. And I was like, you know, I need help. And she like grabbed my face and like pulled it towards her, and she's like, you can figure this out on your own. Like, you don't need my help, whatever. And it's like, oh, I'm 10.
Right.
And I'm
she just has so
asking
much
for help on
animosity
my,
for you.
yeah, I'm literally asking for help on my homework. Like, what's the problem, you know? And it just progressively got worse. I've actually never really spoke on this on camera. Really, I haven't. I'm not gonna cry. We're not doing that. It was just, you know, my mom was absent, and you would think, I mean, she didn't like my mom. Like, the only time her and I got along was when we were talking bad about my mother. So she really pushed for my mom and I to not have a good relationship. And first of all, that's extremely unhealthy. But on top of that, like, you know, my mom's absent. You know, she's not super present in my life, so I don't have that mother figure. You're constantly getting in between my father and I. You know, you don't want us to have a relationship. And you're not even, I mean, you're not even stepping up to the plate. Like,
she just wants you to be miserable. So
oh,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, he's admitted to me, like, he would walk in the house from work and he would purposely say hi to me last because she had a problem with it if he would come to me before any of them.
That's crazy.
Just little thing, like in his wallet, he had oldest to youngest. Oh, you favor Savannah, so he had to put me last, you know, behind my younger sisters. So it's just like something isn't right up there. And then, I mean, just to touch on like music stuff, I have always loved music. I always tell everybody I've been singing since I could talk. There's not a time I remember not singing. I always had like a little amp system with a microphone and, you know, the little CDs that had karaoke, and I would just like get lost in the music. I remember like singing in the back seat and stuff when she would have the radio playing, and she'd be like, you know, you're gonna have to learn to sing better than that if you really want to make it.
Yeah. Just typical, just a grade and stuff. Yeah.
Just every little thing I did, it was a problem with her. I won't go too much into detail, but like, people don't understand, you know, the song Cinderella. It's a very true story. And Bobby really helped me with that because naturally, you know, for me to tell the story, I want to tell all the details. That kind of just wrapped it up into one not so pretty present. You know, she would like only let me shower like every other day or every 2 days. And I'm like, I'm 12, 13, like, I don't know why she did that still. She says to save water, but then my little sister was showering every day, so I don't really get it. You know, to my portions of my food, like, she would only let me eat like one Pop-Tart. Like, there was only like a certain size cereal bowl I could have. Like, you can only have this many ice cubes in your cup. You know, you're drinking, that's enough water. Ooh, I'm like, sorry.
Well, you don't, like, people, like I said, you.
No, it's okay. It's kind of just coming out naturally. So, you know, she would like lock me outside to make me play for, I don't even know how long. I would just be kind of stuck out there. There were certain happy moments, you know, like when I feel like she would gain from it. Like if it was my birthday party, she would like throw me a birthday party, you know, and be really nice to me that day. But then not any of the next days. I know she had a very screwed up childhood, but here I am, so did I. And like, you'll never see me treating people that way, you know? Right. And of course, because of that, not having my father, him being there, but not being a protector, I went through a lot of things at a very young age that I shouldn't have, you know, on top of everything with my stepmom. And then finally, I went to visit my grandparents because, you know, at this point, they thought she was the best thing in the world. They had no idea what was going on. And I went to visit them for summer right before my freshman year of high school. And like the first night I was there, my dad called me on some bullshit. Like, Sarah wants to know why you've been giving her an attitude. I'm like, when someone is coming down on you constantly and making you feel like you do everything wrong, like you hit a point where you get tired of it. Like I was growing into a woman at that point. So I was hitting my mark where I'm like, I know this isn't right. Like I'm going to start standing up for myself. Which, I mean, what is she going to do? Keep pushing me into wall? Like we would be like walking down the hallway together and she'd like purposely just like bump into me or like push me in the trash can. Just a nasty person, man.
For sure.
So when my grandparents finally got told all this, they were like, oh, you're not going back. So they kept me. That kind of transferred over to all of my relationships.
I'm sure. Traumatizing, yeah.
Literally every single one of them.
How long were you there?
Yeah,
I was there from 10 to, I say 14 because I literally like got there in June and turned 14 in July.
Those are very imperative years too as a kid.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I always tell people. Like, I don't like using it as an excuse. I would say that I have tried to outgrow that trauma, but in high school, you know, that's when you kind of sort of step into the real world, where the girls are mean and the guys just want you for one thing. And me, I was taught, you know, at the ages where I'm supposed to learn communication and how to say no and what to expect, you know, in these next years of my life, I was taught to be quiet. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. You know, your emotions are not valid. You never say no. You do what I say. You know what I'm saying? A huge people pleaser. So I go into this private school and I was like the talk of the town because I was a new girl and I was a freshman and everybody.
It was a new town when you left from.
Yes, gotcha. Absolutely. I didn't know anybody. I really just went to play volleyball because I knew the volleyball coach, and then I ended up cheering, and just people were not nice. Now, I know I made a lot of decisions that I guess at that time people would say, oh, she brought it on herself, but I genuinely did not know better. Like I didn't know that I was doing wrong by not saying no. I didn't know that I was doing wrong by being super friendly and open with all these people because I thought they wanted to be my friend when in reality they just were gonna go talk shit behind my back. So a lot of pain came from that, and then I did things I didn't want to, and I was around people I didn't want to be around, and then, you know, again that went into my romantic relationships. I haven't had many, but I did like kind of run off and get married because I was running. I was always a runner. Always, I was taught that, you know. I never dealt with conflict face to face. I never said, hey, you're hurting my feelings. No, I ran. So, you know, I knew this guy since I was 14. He went to the same high school as me. We ended up rekindling when I was like 17, and I got married. But all for the wrong reasons. Not saying I didn't care for him, but it was just not because I wanted to be married. It was because I didn't like my home life and I was running from X, Y, and Z. You know? Yeah. That ended up being an unhealthy relationship, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I never kept a lot of friends. I really have the same best friends that I've had since I was 16. One of them's literally sitting right behind you. He now works with Mako, so
awesome.
But he always, I mean, I put him through a lot as well, just because I was a runner, and if him and I had issues, it was never let's sit down and talk about it. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. Like that's what I know. That's what people did to me. That's what I do, right? Thank God he loved me through all of that, and you know, my relationship shit and all whatever. But through all of this, right, I always had a love for music. And during all of this pain, during high school and these breakups, and you know, just not realizing that I was walking in trauma. I had no idea that I was just acting every day based off of what I had been through. I was always singing. Like I didn't go to parties. What did I go to, like one for homecoming? Like I never went to parties. I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't a smoker. I didn't turn to those things. My drug was music. Those big mirrors that Nana had, thank God, right? So my closet doors were just these massive mirrors, like that covered the whole wall. Perfect for me, because I love looking in the mirror. So, and Nana and Papa always had a really nice amp system, right? So every year for Christmas, I'd normally ask for something of the sort like that. I had this super nice one. I had my low mic stand, and I'm talking hours. I would go in there and I would just sing. I didn't realize until my older years that that's how I communicated. So while I might not be saying, hey, Dad, you hurt me, I'm singing My Little Girl by Tim McGraw or Concrete Angel by Martina McBride, because that was a huge song for me when it came to my stepmom. You know, I was singing painful songs at a very young age because that's how I dealt with everything. I wouldn't go to somebody's face. I would just go in my room and I would sing how I felt. Same thing with all my relationships, whether it be a friendship or a romantic one. You broke my heart. I'm really not going to deal with it to your face. I'm just going to go in my room and I'm going to sing. So it became a release for me and something that I really couldn't live without. And then when I was 18, I picked up the guitar again because I had tried it when I was 13. I was like, this hurts my fingers. I'm not doing it. Right. But I picked it up again when I was 18. And literally, I was taught, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Maybe some of the minor chords, how to use a capo. I think I taught myself like 15 songs that night. Like literally that night. Once I learned the chords, I was gone. Yeah. And I started writing some. So like I have a notebook. I have a few notebooks. That's like my old stuff. You know, maybe one day you guys will kind of somehow, right? I'll be able to kind of share it with y'all. But I started writing, and at a very, very young age, like I knew that I was going to do something in the music industry, not just because I have a love for music, but because I wanted to share my story and be able to help people. Like you don't have to be a victim of what you went through. You can be a survivor. And that's something that I preach all the time. I don't think it's right. You know, I know it sucks when like you go through hard times, but I don't think that you should take those hard times and project them onto other people. I think it's super important that you handle the things that you've been through, really digest them, like make sure you're not carrying that stuff around, and then just like help other people maybe who have gone through the same things. Yeah. So yeah, music's always been my go-to, and with all of the things I've been through, it's always been an escape for me. So
when you talk about the karaoke machines, et cetera, and the big mirrors, were you like private with that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I would not. I mean, dude, literally, if Nana and Papa would like peek in the door, I would turn it off immediately. Like I would not sing in front of them. I think in high school,
with the way it was probably the way that you got treated by your stepmom.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
oh man, like if Tyler could tell you, that's my best friend. He's works with Mako. I said that earlier, but the lack of confidence, the lack of self-esteem and self-worth, I mean, just ran through every vein in my body. Like if you guys knew that girl, like you would not recognize me today. I really just don't. I don't think so. It's I never sang in front of anybody. The first time I sang for Tyler, I think I texted him. I was like, what's your favorite song? He had no idea what I was asking. He was like, Stay by Sugarland, right? I said, okay, give me a minute. So I recorded a little video of me singing, and he's like, Savannah, like I'm crying, I have goosebumps, like I didn't know you could sing, what is this? I need more of it, right? I think the first time I sang in front of him, he was like trying to look at me. I said, I need you to lay down and put a pillow over your face. And then I sang Breathe by Taylor Swift. Like, it was never something that I wasn't confident. In high school, I kind of broke into doing some talent shows with my friends. We sang Bless the Broken Road a cappella. It was really cool. I maybe I'll find that video because I know I have it. So I kind of got into it, but still I was not a confident person. I was not somebody that thought, like, I didn't think other people would enjoy what I was doing. You know, like you said, it probably stems from my stepmom and just the shit I've been through.
For sure, because every time you did anything, she treated you badly. So
bad.
Yeah.
So
when did you flip the switch on that?
Or have you all the way flipped the switch on that? Do you still?
Or was there like a moment of,
Yeah.
you know what, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? And that confidence just came out of nowhere.
Yes, kind of. So after, when I decided to get it, the only thing that I can say where I'll like kind of toot my own horn is I've never settled. So like I would get into a relationship, right? For instance, my ex-husband. And I'm like, okay, as much as I don't treat myself right, but you're really not treating me right, this just isn't gonna fly. This isn't a forever thing. I can't allow people to do this to me. At some point I gotta stand up. I think that was my first jar of confidence. Okay, I can walk away.
Yeah.
But then I'm an idiot and I had a rebound. And while it was only for a few months, he destroyed my life. And I don't mean my heart, because it really wasn't that. It was more like my finances, my credit. Like, he really hit me right where it hurts. So I learned a lot from that. Then it was like, okay, what are you battling? Like, what's going on, Savannah? You know, like how can you self-reflect? You need to go see your dad. It's been 5 years that I hadn't seen him.
And he's still with
her.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So, well, this was technically my sophomore year is the first time I saw him. Well, going into my junior year. But I mean, it had been
2 years probably.
More like 3, right?
Right.
But that wasn't the mending. I showed up there, surprised him. I made my Nana come with me because I couldn't do it on my own. And I wasn't old enough. I didn't have the confidence yet. I couldn't face her. I was very timid around her still. But saw him, it was kind of like then and done. Issues still came about after that. Our communication, like, he didn't even want to talk to me around her for the longest time because it was a problem, right?
Yeah.
So then I would say, obviously he came down for I didn't even have really a wedding. It was more like a backyard get together type of thing.
Yeah.
He came for that and my graduation. But it wasn't a one-on-one, hey, let's handle this. It was just, okay, you're here for an important life event.
Yeah.
Right. And
You
she was
didn't get
also,
to really bond or anything like that.
No, and she was also with him.
Of course.
So I would say it's only been a couple years ago, like 2018, 2019. It's only been a few years. I was like, listen, Dad, we haven't talked in forever. You know, you're telling me you miss me, your heart's broken. Like, you're either going to be in my life or you're going to be out of my life. My stepmom, like, she needs to get over what happened. Like, it's in the past. I'm literally saying it's in the past. We can move on from this. As much as she hurt me, I'm not going to live in it anymore and walk in it and carry it. She doesn't need to either. She doesn't need to treat me weird or not let us have like, I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm going to come visit you. He's like, okay, I'll buy the tickets. Found the tickets. He's like, we're going to go to a concert. We always bonded with country music. Yeah. So I was like, okay. I go up there. It was like nothing ever happened between him and I, right? We just picked up where we left off. We ended up going to the concert by ourselves, had a lot of conversation about things that happened. You know, he opened up to me and told me he should have done things different and he was sorry and this and that and the other. And I was like, okay. You know, the little girl in me is like, oh my gosh, like, my dad, you know, like, he's here, he loves me, he cares about me. And at that point, I was walking around. I didn't care how she felt. I was nice to her. I was cordial. I could tell she had a little bit of an attitude because my dad and I were spending time together and she doesn't like that. I was like, what are you going to do? You know?
Right.
So it wasn't, her and I have still yet to this day had that conversation because I've always avoided it. And
Do you think y'all will?
I have to.
You seem pretty anxious.
Yeah, it's honestly, if I'm being honest, whether we put this in here or not, I don't really mind. My birthday just passed, and I had this whole feeling, right? So like after I went to visit him, her and I kind of sort of talked a little bit, like we were kind of mending things ish, and then we wrote Cinderella. Now, for me, that's my release, right?
Yeah.
That's my story.
She took it as a shot.
She took it as a shot.
Well,
I thought we were
she
cool.
should've.
She has not spoke to me since, and she won't. She literally told my dad, "Oh, are you still gonna, support her music after she did that?" He's like, "It's a song. Like that's her story. What do you want me to like that? It's for her to do. Like we're not doing this again." It ended up being this whole thing. With like her family and stuff, and they were like trying to come down on him, and I'm like, man, they really do not want me to come up there again, because if you really want to have that conversation, like we'll hash it out. But if she took it as a shot, she told my dad that she called me. She didn't call me. I sat there watching my phone after Cinderella dropped, waiting for her to call me because I thought the conversation was going to finally happen. She didn't call me. She's lying to him, and she's like, "Oh, you're not gonna believe your wife?" He's like, "Well, she didn't call me. She would have called me. I would have picked up the phone. I got all the balls in the world now. We can talk. I'm not the little girl that you destroyed. It's just not what it is." That was my release. I'm sorry, but you tell your whole family you don't know why I left. You got to tell your side. It's not my fault that I have the platform now to tell my side, and it got a lot of attention. That's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing. That song's helped people. That song's made people look at their situations differently. I'm not worried about our situation. I'm worried about helping people. So she took it as a shot. She hasn't spoke to me since. That's been a year. Now my dad has still been trying to like slightly support me, right? But he doesn't pay attention. He doesn't know when I have a song or music video drop. He doesn't know. I have to like tell him these things. And we really don't talk like a father and daughter. Like it's very random and it's more like friends. And my birthday just passed, and I had this gut feeling for some reason that he was gonna miss it. And I think like a week before 4th of July, he's like, "Oh, we're coming to Destin. They do their family vacation." He always expected me to come to him. He's never once offered to come stay where I'm at, which he should. If we're doing it, I can't be the only one traveling to you, right? So, he was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to Destin," and I'm like, "Okay," and he's like, "You can come if you want." And I'm like, "Well, when are you going?" "Oh, the weekend after 4th of July." "Oh, my birthday."
Right.
Oh, yeah, okay, I guess you're right. Whatever. It was like 9:30 on my birthday, and he called, and I texted him and said I was at dinner. He read it and didn't answer. I tried to call him back. He forwarded my call. Still haven't heard from him. So it's like at this point, right? The conversation has to be had. Because I can't, I carry it. Like you said, I'm anxious. I can't help it. And I can't hold feelings in. So it's like...
Well, you shouldn't have to.
But at this point, I don't let it affect how I treat people or how I treat myself. But it's still something that has to be dealt with.
So are you seeking closure, or just, like, how you feel about that?
Is there even a closure
No.
for a father who... isn't, what a father means to like a baby girl, like that's huge. Is there a closure? Like, I told somebody the other day, I have the biggest heart to the point where if my stepmom called me and was like, "Listen, I'm changing," I would literally give her the opportunity. There's all the forgiveness in the world. It's that you're still acting the same. You can't sit here and say you're sorry and then do the same thing tomorrow, If for some reason he wanted to pick up and have a relationship and actually treat me like a daughter, absolutely. But is there closure for somebody who just doesn't really care?
Probably not.
Not really. I think it's just more now for me a release. Like, I need to tell you how I feel, and then you can do with it what you wish,